it finally happened. Mr. Nintendo finally made contact and declared into the Twitter void of all places that a formal announcement, reveal, whatever is on the horizon for the Switch successor. Mr. Furukawa let us know that we're getting a Nintendo Direct in June, and that we shouldn't expect to see information about the next Nintendo console in that presentation. And, among other reasons, you know, such as, breaking the tension around this mystery console. I think this tweet was honestly an attempt to keep people in their lanes, for lack of a better word, right? Consumers focused on social media posts and all that, and leaving investors relishing in Nintendo's annual report. Because, like in years past, Nintendo fans have been living in a near constant state of angst regarding the next gen console. And I've seen a ton of content creators turn to any smattering of information they can, whether it be rumors, leaks, or whatever, or information directly from Nintendo, in an attempt to continue to create content and provide videos or media of any real quality or substance. Broadly speaking, we all know there's folks out there who will make videos about nothing for the sake of making videos about nothing. Anyway, so without fail, year after year, I've seen folks download the Nintendo annual report, uh, just break it down, glean so, secret knowledge, as they're saying, in regards to Nintendo's inner thoughts and feelings. And in doing so, they often cite what they think investors need to hear from Nintendo to feel confident in the company, and why Nintendo specifically needs to announce Switch 2 for investors, and just all this other garbo that I think is honestly just way off the mark, right? So before I continue, let me say this: I don't begrudge anyone trying to chase the bag, uh, in terms of content creation, or thinking they really do have a grasp on Nintendo's relationship with their investors. Um, Absolutely, you do you. I will say, having been a cog in a corporate machine for near a decade at this point, companies know that their investors and shareholders only want two things, right? Men only want two things. It starts with an M, money. They want to keep their existing investments safe, and for those investments to grow into more moolah. And an annual report is meant for nothing more than for a company to remind investors how they are meeting those two needs. And when you're the most successful company in Japan, I personally don't think you need to throw little snippets of Switch 2 information, or whatever scraps at your investors to instill confidence and loyalty, right? And especially not in this corporate document, like. And I know folks are saying, like, if a stock dips, it makes investors nervous. And I mean, to an extent, I believe it. But also, investors are there for the long haul. Um, and they're basing these decisions on the history of a company, as well as present actions and activity, right? So when you see Nintendo, and they're making games, but they're also, for instance, making movies and theme parks, and expanding their development sites, with building construction, and they're making a museum. I don't think they're very nervous if they don't hear, um about future hardware. And I think, especially if they look at the other members of the big three, as it were, and they see them slowing production, or outright closing their development studios, um, man, they're not looking to move their money anywhere else. Uh, so yeah, so back to the tweet. Uh, this message from the president of Nintendo, this was the communication that was 100% directed at its player base, right? They're letting us know that they will reveal the console in this fiscal year. They're confirming a direct is in June. They're setting boundaries as to what to expect and when to expect it. Um, and man, this wasn't directed at investors. This was directed at the people who buy and play their games. Um, and if the intent was to get players and content creators back to talking about more curated information, right? Meant for the consumer base. It worked. I mean, you still have a lot of and I'll say good folks, good people breaking down sales data. And that aspect of content creation around the annual reporting, that's outside the scope of what I'm talking about right now. But most content being pumped out in the last few days is just on the social media communications from Nintendo, not their corporate communications. And I'm gonna be real, it's been nice just to hear folks talking about what they know from a gamer perspective and not pretend like they have these corporate understandings. I really hope, I'm worried, and I hope that I didn't come off as a jerk, or that this wasn't didn't come off as a dig, right, at those YouTubers who speak to corporate investor relations. I absolutely get that if this is your job, like if this is how you're paying for your food, you gotta do what you gotta do. Um, but content of that topic through that lens, um, it's been rubbing me the wrong way. It's been coming off as shallow and presenting, I don't know, really a false understanding of how bigwigs try and warm up to their investors and their piggy banks. I just feel like it is a false precedent that they're presenting. Um, Not necessarily their fault. Anyway, reeling it back in, I'm just glad to see my favorite content creators leaning back into creating content um from a consumer perspective, and not and even an insider perspective, but not an insider corporate perspective. And I hope they stick with it. And even more so, I hope Nintendo can continue to support them in that way. They're a big part of getting that information out. So anyway, this is a weird one. What do you all think? Like I said, I'm glad YouTubers finally have something real to talk about when it comes to the Switch successor. I'm really looking forward to the official information that Nintendo is going to provide. I'm looking forward to the unofficial information. Those leaks and rumors, they're going to be coming fast and free, people. Um, as always, I'm Andrew Bolkar. Please, if you can, interact with this video, like, comment, subscribe, ring a ding a ling that bell. Thank you for sticking around, and I will see you next.